Make the ground shake.
Basically, couch sessions being a session where we sit and talk about pretty much anything that runs into my head. This is a new concept for this channel, this podcast, this little tidbit of information, maybe a 5-minute podcast, maybe a 10-minute podcast, I don't know. So, topic of today that kind of spurred my interest in a conversation with a friend. We were talking about vision and realism, right? Realism is essentially what it sounds like. It's looking at something for what it is and saying, this is what's going to happen, this is most realistic, this is most probable. Whereas I tend to be more of a visionary, and while I understand that things can happen realistically, and I understand things may not always go as you planned. Anything you're working towards may fail. It may not occur. You may not reach that goal. In being a visionary, I tend to look at it with a mindset that I choose not to factor that into the decisions that I make that impact that outcome. Because, primarily being, if you allot for that, and this is a mindset that, it's the reason why I have the mindset, because if you allot for that, if you look at something and you give yourself that wiggle room to say, my goal, whatever it may be, say if you're trying to get through college, my goal is to graduate, and, a realist could look at it and say, well, you may or may not get your degree. You may fail this class, realistically, the failing rate is 40%, right? That's crippling, which I think is why I over the years kind of shifted towards being a visionary, because it was so important for me in the career choice that I took, which was engineering, to have that mindset that wasn't just blind optimism, but was rather not allowing for the possibility of that outcome to impact the decisions that I was making, if that makes any sense, right? Because any person you talk to that may be successful, or anybody that's a motivational speaker or so forth and so forth, they always emphasize the vision that needs to be in your mind to be successful, because that's where it starts. It starts in the mind. It starts with your outlook. It starts with the steps that you take to ensure yourself reaching that goal, right? Successful people have a visionary mindset more often than not. That you don't hear of a lot of people that are successful or multimillionaires that have this realist mindset. You usually hear them talking about, or hear the stories about them saying, no, I didn't accept this. I didn't accept what other people were putting as a label to my possible outcome. I didn't accept, that, the odds were this or the odds were that. And that's kind of what I want to emphasize today for anybody that is trying to push for something, or anybody that's trying to push towards a goal. It's so important to have that visionary mindset, and to, in other words, proclaim that drive toward your goal. In the conversation with this person the other day, I think we were talking about relationships, and they were saying, oh yeah, so forth and so forth, if you and so are still dating next summer. And I said, what kind of a statement is that? Because in my mind, that's just allowing the door for something to fail, right? While it may be very realistic, that mindset alone, just saying that, you've allowed the opportunity for that to be an outcome, whether you realize it or not. That's how powerful the mind is. And what I'm trying to get to you all today is that in your mindset for what you're pursuing, whether it's college, whether it's an education, that mindset and that vision needs to be clear. It needs to be clear in the sense that you need to recognize that any open door, any idea that you let come into your mind that is even wavering in some aspect has the potential and ability to impact your output towards that goal. I know that sounded really wordy, but basically this goes back to even putting yourself in situations or putting yourself around people that have a negative attitude, right? Those people, whether you realize it or not, are going to impact the way that you think, the way that your decisions come about, and can sometimes be detrimental, but can also be helpful, right? That's why they say to surround yourself with people that are like-minded, goal-oriented. You know, if you're trying to start up a business, you're going to want to try to put yourself around people that have successful businesses and have learned a lot of the things that maybe you need to learn or maybe you need to pick up on to grow. So going back to the visionary mindset, it's envisioning that success. It's envisioning that potential. It's not necessarily ignoring the possible outcomes, right? It's not saying that. I think everybody knows that there is the potential to fail, right? Everybody knows that. It's just one of those things. If you're going to try something, you have the potential to succeed or fail. That's just kind of how it is with everything that you take a risk with, that you take a chance with. But being a visionary is taking that step towards that belief that you won't accept that as an outcome, that you won't accept or allow that as an outcome, that step of putting that in your vocabulary, essentially. So in my conversation with this individual, I told them, I said, I'm a realist, but because I'm a visionary, I'm not going to accept that that's going to be a possible outcome. If it happens, yeah, it can happen. But a lot of times in your pursuits, you have to stop people's opinions. You have to stop people's mindset because it can be detrimental sometimes if they're not seeing what you're trying to accomplish. And it's okay to be a realist. I'm not saying it's not okay to be a realist. But I'm saying for all of you out there that are working and striving towards something, don't forget to have that, to be a visionary, to have that vision. You know, when I was in engineering school, I almost failed out multiple times, and I was told the percentage of dropout rates, and I was told what the average person had as a GPA. I think the biggest thing for me is that I didn't really care about the statistics. I just said, okay, I'm here to get a degree, and I know I'm going to get a degree. And in my mind, yeah, could I have failed? Yeah, absolutely. And I basically almost did. I failed many classes, but I didn't accept that. I didn't accept that starting out. I didn't go into it saying, yeah, I'm probably going to fail this class. No, I took the class, and then if I failed, I dealt with it when it came. But had I gone into a class saying, yeah, I'm probably going to fail, how does that impact the actions that you take in the moment? It's almost like a soccer game, right? When you play a soccer game, if you're up 20 points on the other team, how is that, and you have 5 minutes left of the game, how is that going to change your playing? You're going to play differently, right? Because you're already ahead of the game. So in regards to your goals, if you allow or you take into account that option, not that it's an option, but that option that something may not come about or you may fail or that the odds are this or the odds are that, how is that going to change your action in the moment? Are you going to be discouraged? Are you going to not try as hard, being that you may think you may fail it because 60% of people that take this class fail it? Is that going to impact you? And I guess that's what I'm getting at. And being a visionary is seeing that ahead of time and not ignoring it, but seeking to be successful. And that all starts with the mindset. So I hope you all enjoyed it. I will try another one of these, hopefully next week. So stay tuned.